Back from GDC and back to the cloud. Let's get to work. What's the haps, people? MisterToolbox back with another Amazon Lumberyard video. We're going to keep talking about Cloud Canvas, and today we're specifically going to check out Cloud Gems. As you recall, part 1 of this series was cut with Lumberyard 1.7. 1.8 is out now. I've gone back and made sure that everything in that video holds true in 1.8, so we're going to use 1.8 as our platform. I want to do that because in 1.8, Amazon introduced the concept of Cloud Gems, and to be frank, they stole my thunder for a lot of the things I had planned for the Cloud Canvas series, namely Message of the Day, Leaderboard, and then sort of just general dynamic content. Now, they've clearly done it better and more elegantly than I was going to, but I want to take a look at each of those implementations, show them off a bit, and marvel at them. Now, I apologize for my voice. I'm still kind of getting over GDC. I caught the plague while I was there, and I was screaming like a child the whole time. So bear with me. If it's too bad, do let me know. All right, I've popped open the project configurator. I want to select the Cloud Gems Samples project. Give that a click, make sure it's set as default, and then once that's done, we can close this up. We're going to use the Cloud Gems Samples project just because it's got a lot of the scripts and stuff in place that'll let me show this off pretty easily. With the project selected, I've popped open the editor. I'm going to click Open Level, and then find the Message of the Day sample. Give that a click, click Open. Let that load up. So before we get cracking properly, let's make sure we're all on the same page. Come up to the menu, click AWS, and then click Credentials Manager. You should see Cloud Canvas Administrator, or whatever you called that profile we made in the last part. Make sure you got that, make sure it's ticked so that we can effectively create our resources on AWS. Go ahead and click OK when it's there. Then we're going to want to click the AWS menu again, come down to Cloud Canvas, and click Cloud Canvas Resource Manager. It'll pop up this window, don't want to dock it. And you'll see resource groups over in the left-hand nav. And when you've got this loaded, you may see a button over here that says Create Resources. I've been tooling around with this for a while, so I've been adding and deleting them and whatnot, so I don't have that button right now. If you do, go ahead and click it. I'm going to go ahead and click Upload All Resources. And then it's going to ask me for a deployment name. I'm going to call this, we'll say Test 1. Since it's my only deployment, we'll leave it as default. We'll click Create. Now it said it was going to take a while. It's not kidding. So it's going to burn through this. I'll meet you when it's done. All right, once it's done, you should see Create Complete under Status. Now that went through and created a whole bunch of IAM roles, policies, Lambda functions, S3 buckets, CloudFormation stacks, DynamoDB tables, lots of cool stuff that we can put to use. Now, I don't want any of this to seem like black magic, so it's worth noting that at any time you can jump into your AWS portal and check out what it's done. So for instance, if I jump into CloudFormation, I can actually see all those stacks that we created running through those scripts. Same thing if I go to Lambda, for instance. Let that load up. You'll actually see all the different Lambda functions that it created when you uploaded those. For now, let's close up that Cloud Canvas Resource Manager. We'll come up to the menu, click AWS, and we'll click Open Cloud Gem Portal. That's going to pop it up in one of my Chrome windows here. There it is. Going to load up, and we're at our portal. Now this is new in 1.8, and it's pretty BA, so I'd recommend reading through everything that's on screen. It's got some links to tutorials, forums, and whatnot. One thing I should mention is don't bother bookmarking this. You'll actually end up expiring your token and not being able to get into it anyway. So the best way to get at it is through the Lumberyard editor, clicking that Cloud Gem Portal button. What I want to do is click Cloud Gems up in the top right. And you'll see we've got 3 available to us: the Message of the Day, Dynamic Content, and Leaderboard. We're going to kick off with Message of the Day, so I'm going to click it. As you'll see, I've got no active messages, no scheduled messages. We'll set one in a minute. Before we create an MOTD, let's see what this level does. So I'm going to click out in the perspective viewport, press Ctrl-G, and it pops open a UI canvas. It says click the button to get the latest messages, so I'm going to do it. Doesn't look like anything happened. Down in the console, we can see that we got response messages 0. So the function succeeded, I just got nothing there. So now we can go in to our CloudGem portal, we'll add a message, and we'll see what changes. Back in the CloudGem portal, let's go ahead and click Add Message of the Day. First, we've got the message content, so I'll just say hello world because I'm feeling original. We'll leave scheduling as it is now. No start, no end. Those are pretty cool features. We'll check them out in a couple minutes here. Then we'll set the priority to 0. Go ahead and click Save. Easy peasy. You see we've got our message set. Pretty flash message here. So now we can jump back into the editor and we'll see if anything changed. Back in the editor, we'll click in the perspective viewport, press Ctrl G again. We get the same canvas. This time I'm going to click Get Messages. And bang, hello world. So you'll see we got response messages 1. Prints out the message in the debug console. Let's see what happens when we have 2 messages set. So I'll click Add Message of the Day again. Say goodbye world. This isn't a cry for help, it's just what I put. We'll set the priority to 1 on that guy. Leave the start and end times where they are. We'll click Save. And now see we've got 2 messages in our table here. Jump back to the editor, Control G, and I'm going to click Get Messages. See Hello World again, and then we see Goodbye World. So it's grabbing all the messages out of that table and then looping through them. So now that we've got 2 messages, let's add a third and see what that priority field actually does. Again, we'll click Add Message of the Day. We'll say hello again for this one. And we'll leave everything else as it is. So priority 0. So that means we've got hello world and hello again at priority 0, and then goodbye world at priority 1. Jumping back into the editor, press Ctrl G. We'll get messages again. I got hello again, then hello world, and then goodbye world. So the priority defines the relative order in which these are run. Let's go back and do one more thing. Given that we got hello again before we got hello world, that's not deterministic, by the way. Those will come in either order because they have the same priority. Let's set the priority on hello again to say 1. And then we'll set the priority on goodbye world to 2. If my world makes any sense, we should now see hello world, hello again, and goodbye world. Let's give it a crack. Press Ctrl G, get messages. Hello world, hello again, goodbye world. Perfect. Now, like I said earlier, this is not black magic. This is all just a DynamoDB table, and you can take a look at that in your portal if you want to. So I'll click DynamoDB. Jump into tables, expand this out a bit so we can find the message of the day table. If I click items, you'll see these message IDs. These are the messages that I put in the CloudGem portal, complete with priority and start time and end time, all the fields that we were putting in there. So these are really just standard AWS assets that they've wrapped up in a way that makes sense to someone making a game. Back at the CloudGem portal, let's add one more message. So click Add Message of the Day. Say, let's get to work. You'll see down in my clock, it's 9:30 p.m. right now. So I'm going to untick no start and no end. It is March 8th, so I'm going to set this to March 9th at 12 a.m. Let's see, and then I'll set the end time to, say, March 10th at 10 a.m. or 12 a.m. So one full day. We'll leave the priority at 0. Click Save. You'll see that's in the Active Messages section. That's because all of the message times right now are in UTC, so you need to know your time zone, the offset, so that makes sense. If I click that and, say, move it a week into the future, see that drop out of active messages and down into planned messages so that it will activate when the time comes. But just a quick shout that those times are in UTC. It's important to remember that. So we've seen that MOTD works. Let's take a peek at how it works. To do that, we'll find the MOTD menu entity in the entity outliner. Then over in the entity inspector, come down to the Lua script, and we'll pop open the Lua editor. It's got the MOTD main menu.lua file. Let's take a quick look through this. So at the start of the file on line 8, we have the onActivate. This Lua script activates when the game activates. What we see is that the script connects to the tick bus, does some stuff to set up the UI canvas, sets a couple listeners on events on the canvas, shows the mouse cursor. Then if we head down to MOTD main menu on action on line 83, what we'll see is that it's logging actions it receives from the canvas. If the action it receives is get messages, which corresponds to that single button we have on the canvas, what it does is it puts an event on the event bus to get player messages. We come up to line 62, we'll see a function for on player messages request success. And what it's doing there is logging to the console that it did succeed, telling us how many messages we have on line 66, then looping through the messages it got, logging the messages to console, and then inserting them into a table called message queue. If we then jump up to line 31, we'll see the tick handler. There, what it's doing is on a tick, checking to see if our table is greater than 0. If it is, it's grabbing the messages off of that table, logging to console the priority of the message itself, and then making a call to update message. That is down at the bottom on line 99. And what that's doing is setting the text on the canvas so that it displays the message that we received. So this is all super readable. It's pretty great. It's a good example of how we should organize our own Lua scripts. So that's it, the MOTD in a nutshell. I think what I'm going to do here is cut the video. I'm going to immediately start on the leaderboard one, which will come out at the same time. But I want to keep these separate so that if you're interested in one and not the other, you're not sitting through a whole bunch of stuff you don't care about. So I'll get this uploaded. In the meantime, as always, don't forget to join the Lumberyard Slack community. We got a ton of people talking a ton of stuff. A lot of FBX conversation going on right now. A lot of people much better at that than I am, and they're talking about it. So now's a great time to be on board. We got a lot of cool people, including some that I met at GDC, including the Sweet Bandits guys. So a lot of smart, cool people on there talking Lumberyard. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends about Lumberyard, get people interested. This AWS stuff is super BA. I think people are going to be excited about Cloud Gems. I can't wait to build some of my own. With that, I'll see you back here in a few minutes for leaderboard. Bye.